Supreme Admiral Vexterra of the Galactic Concordat stood on the observation deck of the CGS Eternal Dawn, their crystalline carapace reflecting the distant starlight. Below them, Earth's orbital defense fleet hung in space like scattered debris, a collection of crude vessels that seemed barely capable of interstellar travel. The Admiral's secondary breathing vents fluttered in what their species considered amusement. Remarkable that they made it this far, Vexterra commented to Science Director Linra, who stood analyzing the human vessels through advanced sensor arrays. Their ships looked like they would struggle with basic atmospheric exit. The Science Director's neural tendrils pulsed with uncertainty. Supreme Admiral, I'm detecting some irregularities in our scans. The mass readings of their vessels don't quite match what we're seeing. Sensor malfunction. Vexterra's primary eyes narrowed while their secondary set remained fixed on the human fleet. These primitives are hardly worth the energy required to maintain our quantum scanners. The Eternal Dawn, flagship of the Concordat's first contact fleet, dwarfed the largest human vessel by a factor of 10. Its crystalline hull, forged from living metals that repaired themselves, represented 10,000 years of technological advancement. The human ships, in contrast, appeared to be constructed from basic alloys, their hulls marked with crude chemical propulsion systems and primitive weapon mounts. Yet something about them bothered Linra. Permission to conduct a deep spectrum analysis. Supreme Admiral. Granted, though I fail to see the point. We're here to evaluate their readiness for Concordat membership, not waste time on technical curiosities. As Linra initiated the scan, Lieutenant Commander James Cooper sat in the command chair of the ESS Nightwind, Earth's designated first contact vessel. His expression remained carefully neutral as he watched the massive alien flagship through his viewport. Beside him, Dr. Elena Santos monitored their systems with equal composure. "They're scanning us again," she reported quietly. "Deep spectrum this time." Cooper allowed himself a small smile. "Maintain phase echo protocols. Let them see exactly what they expect to see." Throughout the human fleet, quantum field generators hummed silently, bending not just light and energy, but perception itself. Earth had learned long ago that the greatest advantage wasn't superior firepower or advanced shields. It was being underestimated. On the Eternal Dawn, Linra's confusion grew. Their scans showed impossible contradictions. Energy signatures appeared and vanished. Mass readings fluctuated. Yet every time they attempted to focus their instruments on these anomalies, the readings settled back to show exactly what one would expect from primitive vessels. "Supreme Admiral, I recommend we—" "Enough," Vexterra interrupted. "Open a channel to their command vessel. Let's get this evaluation over with." The human ship's response was immediate. Cooper's image appeared on the Eternal Dawn's communication crystal, the backdrop of his bridge appearing appropriately dated and minimal. "Supreme Admiral Vexterra," Cooper greeted them with a slight bow. "Earth is honored by the Concordat's presence. We look forward to demonstrating our readiness for membership." Vexterra's translator rendered the human's words perfectly, but something in Cooper's tone triggered an ancient instinct in the Admiral's genetic memory. It was the same tone their ancestors had heard from prey animals, just before discovering they were actually predators. "Commander Cooper," Vexterra responded, pushing aside their unease. "The Concordat has reviewed your initial application. Your species' advancement rate is notable, but your technological development appears insufficient for full membership." "We understand," Cooper replied. "Perhaps a demonstration of our capabilities would help inform your evaluation." Before Vexterra could respond, alarms blared across the Eternal Dawn's bridge. A massive energy surge appeared at the edge of their sensor range, a Ravager battle fleet dropping out of hyperspace. The notorious pirates were known for attacking first contact ceremonies, seeing them as opportunities to acquire new technology. "How unfortunate," Vexterra's voice carried genuine concern. "Commander Cooper, the Concordat will protect your fleet. Please maintain your position behind our ships." Cooper's expression didn't change. "That won't be necessary, Supreme Admiral. If you'll permit us, Earth would like to demonstrate one of our defensive capabilities. The human fleet began to move, their formations shifting in ways that seemed random, almost chaotic. Linra's sensors went wild, showing multiple contradictory readings for each vessel. "Supreme Admiral," they reported, "I can't maintain a lock on their ships. It's as if they're becoming less real somehow." Vexterra watched in growing confusion as the human vessels seemed to blur, their outlines becoming indistinct. The Ravager fleet approached, weapons charged, only to find themselves firing at empty space. The human ships had vanished completely. "Impossible," Vexterra breathed. "Where did they?" The answer came in a devastating display of firepower. Human vessels materialized inside the Ravager formation, their primitive weapons revealing themselves to be anything but. Advanced energy weapons cut through pirate shields like they didn't exist. Ships appeared and disappeared at will, striking from impossible angles before vanishing again. In less than 5 minutes, the entire Ravager fleet had been disabled or destroyed. The human ships reappeared in their original formation, looking exactly as crude and primitive as before. A satisfactory demonstration. "Supreme Admiral." Cooper's image returned to their screen, his expression still carefully neutral. "We find that sometimes the best defense is being overlooked." Vexterra's carapace had lost some of its shine. "How long?" they demanded. "How long have you possessed this technology?" "Long enough to know we needed it," Cooper replied. "Earth learned early that survival sometimes depends on being underestimated. We hoped the Concordat would prove to be allies, but we had to be certain." As Linra frantically recalibrated their sensors, they discovered that the human ships had been broadcasting false readings the entire time. Their true capabilities had been hidden behind layers of quantum deception, so sophisticated that even thinking about them directly made them harder to detect. "The Concordat may need to reassess its membership criteria," Vexterra admitted, their previous condescension replaced with cautious respect. "It seems we have much to learn from each other." Cooper nodded. "We look forward to it, Supreme Admiral. After all, the best partnerships begin with honest understanding, even if that honesty comes with a few surprises." As the Eternal Dawn's crew processed what they had witnessed, a new understanding dawned upon them. They hadn't discovered a primitive species seeking protection. They had encountered masters of deception who had turned humanity's greatest perceived weakness into their greatest strength. The age of underestimating humanity was over. The age of wondering what else they were hiding had begun. The ES Chimera drifted through the darkness of deep space, its quantum displacement field making it indistinguishable from background radiation. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the tactical display, watching as alien trading vessels passed nearby, completely unaware of her ship's presence. 3 months had passed since humanity's revelation to the Concordat, and the galaxy was still adjusting to the implications. Another Concordat observer probe at bearing 340. Lieutenant Marcus Rivera reported from his sensor station. "They're still trying to figure out how we do it." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Let them look. The more they search for our secrets, the less they'll actually see." The Chimera represented humanity's true technological achievement, a vessel that could rewrite its own quantum signature at will. Its hull contained billions of microscopic field generators that could bend not just light, but probability itself. To most sensors, the ship simply couldn't exist where it clearly did. "Captain," Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka's voice carried an edge of urgency. "We're picking up a distress signal. Merchant vessel under attack by unknown forces." Chen's expression hardened. "Location: Sector 793, just outside Concordat space. It's a Nexari transport ship." The Nexari, a species known for their isolationist policies and advanced technology. They weren't members of the Concordat, preferring to maintain their independence, and now one of their ships was in trouble. "Plot an intercept course," Chen ordered. "But keep us dark. Let's see what we're dealing with first." The Chimera's engines engaged silently, the quantum field masking even their energy signature as they approached the conflict zone. The scene that greeted them confirmed Chen's suspicions. 3 unmarked warships surrounding a civilian transport, their weapons already having breached its outer hull. Pirates, Rivera suggested. No. Chen studied the attacking ship's configuration. Those are military-grade weapons. This is something else. She tapped her command console. Get me a secure channel to command. They need to see this. Before the connection could be established, one of the attacking vessels fired a precise shot that disabled the Nexeri ship's main drive. The other 2 ships moved in, clearly preparing to board. Captain, Tanaka reported, I'm detecting transmissions from the attacking ships. They're using encoded Concordat military frequencies. Chen's eyes narrowed. Rogue Concordat forces attacking a Nexeri ship, or something worse. She made her decision. Battle stations. Prepare to drop the veil. Throughout the Chimera, crews moved with practiced efficiency. The ship's quantum field shifted, preparing for what they called a ghost strike, appearing seemingly out of nowhere to attack before vanishing again. Weapons locked, the tactical officer reported. Ready on your mark. Let's introduce ourselves, Chen commanded. Execute pattern Delta. The Chimera materialized less than a kilometer from the nearest attacker, its advanced weapon systems already firing. The enemy ship's shields, designed to stop conventional attacks, proved useless against weapons that technically didn't exist until they hit their target. One of the attackers managed to transmit before the Chimera vanished again, reappearing at a different vector to disable their engines. The remaining ships attempted to coordinate a defense, but they were fighting an enemy that seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. The Chimera's quantum field generators created dozens of false images, each one potentially real until observed, by which time it was too late. Enemy vessels disabled, Tactical reported. Their weapons and engines are offline. Chen nodded. Open a channel to the Nexeri ship. Let's see if they're willing to explain why Concordat forces were attacking them. The response came not in words but in data. A massive encrypted transmission burst from the Nexeri vessel. As their computers processed it, Chen's expression grew grave. Get this to command immediately, she ordered, and contact the Eternal Dawn. Tell Supreme Admiral Vexterra we need to talk. The data painted a disturbing picture. The Nexeri had discovered evidence of a splinter faction within the Concordat, one that believed in technological supremacy at any cost. These rogue elements had been staging attacks on advanced civilizations, stealing their technology while disguising themselves as pirates or raiders. Ma'am, Rivera's voice was quiet. According to these files, we weren't the only ones hiding our true capabilities. The Nexeri, they'd been watching everyone, documenting everything. They knew about our quantum technology months before we revealed it to the Concordat. Chen studied the tactical display, where the disabled ships hung motionless in space, and now someone in the Concordat wants their intelligence archives badly enough to risk open warfare. She straightened in her command chair. Send word to all nearby human vessels, authorized channels only. If there's going to be a shadow war, they need to know we're already in it. As the Chimera secured the scene and waited for reinforcements, Chen couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity had spent years concealing their true capabilities, only to discover they weren't the only ones with secrets. The galaxy was a web of hidden agendas and cloaked powers, and Earth had just stumbled into the center of it. Captain, Tanaka reported, the Eternal Dawn acknowledges our message. They're on their way, and we're detecting quantum fluctuations from the disabled ships. Someone else was watching this whole encounter. Good, Chen replied. Let them watch. Let them see exactly what we want them to see. She smiled slightly. After all, that's what we do best. The Chimera remained on station, a ghost ship guarding its prizes, while across the sector, other human vessels began moving into position. The game of shadows was evolving, and humanity was ready to show they could play it better than anyone had imagined. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the heart of Project Silverlight, Earth's most advanced research facility, watching as holographic displays showed the positions of thousands of quantum sensor buoys scattered throughout known space. Each one was invisible to conventional detection, forming a vast web of surveillance that had been humanity's eyes and ears for years. "The Nexeri data confirms our worst fears," she explained to the assembled military leadership. "The Concordat isn't just fractured. It's being systematically undermined from within." Fleet Admiral Helena Torres studied the tactical display, where red markers indicated confirmed attacks by the rogue faction. "How long have the Nexeri been tracking this?" "Years." Maya brought up another display showing ship movements and attack patterns. "They call this group the Ascendancy, hardliners who believe advanced species have a right to take technology from lesser civilizations. They'd been building a shadow fleet using stolen tech." The holographic display shifted to show the Chimera's recent encounter. The quantum field signatures of the attacking ships pulsed with an unsettling pattern. "They're trying to replicate our quantum displacement technology," Maya continued, "but they don't fully understand it. They're creating unstable fields that could tear their ships apart. Or worse," Torres added. "Those instabilities could cascade through space-time. They could destroy entire systems." In orbit above them, the ESS Phantom, sister ship to the Chimera, maintained its vigilant watch. Commander David Okafor received the briefing through a secure quantum channel, his ship's sensors constantly scanning for any sign of Ascendancy vessels. "New contact," his sensor officer reported. "Quantum distortion at the edge of the system. Similar signature to the ships that attacked the Nexeri." Okafor straightened in his command chair. "Show me." The tactical display revealed a ship trying to hide using an imperfect copy of human quantum technology. Its presence flickered like a faulty hologram, visible one moment, distorted the next. "They're getting desperate," Okafor observed, "trying to use technology they barely understand." He opened a channel to Project Silverlight. "Dr. Patel, we have a live example of their attempts at quantum displacement. Sending data now." Back in the facility, Maya's expression grew concerned as she analyzed the readings. "The field harmonics are completely wrong. They're trying to bend space without accounting for temporal feedback." She turned to Admiral Torres. "We need to stop them before they tear a hole in reality." "Agreed." Torres activated the command network. "All ships, this is Fleet Command. The Ascendancy has been designated an Omega-level threat. You are authorized to reveal full capabilities as needed to neutralize their forces." Across human space, vessels that had been hiding their true nature began powering up systems that had lain dormant for years. The ESS Phantom led the charge, its quantum field extending to encompass nearby space. "Multiple contacts," Okafor's sensor officer reported. "They're running." "Not this time," Okafor commanded. "Execute Containment Protocol Sierra." The Phantom's quantum field pulsed, creating a bubble of altered spacetime around the fleeing Ascendancy vessel. Within that bubble, probability itself became a weapon. The enemy ship's unstable quantum field collided with the carefully controlled space around it, forcing it back into normal space. "Target contained," Tactical reported. "Their quantum field is collapsing." Maya watched the operation through Project Silverlight's sensors, documenting every detail of the interaction between the two quantum fields. "This is our chance to understand how much they've really learned about our technology." The Ascendancy ship, its quantum camouflage stripped away, revealed its true nature. It was a hybrid of stolen technologies, its hull a patchwork of different species engineering. As the Phantom's crews secured the vessel, they discovered something even more disturbing: coordinates for what appeared to be a massive hidden shipyard. "Send these to the Eternal Dawn," Torres ordered. "Supreme Admiral Vexterran needs to see what elements of their own military have been doing." Maya studied the captured ship's quantum field generator. "They were closer than we thought to replicating our technology. Another few months." She left the implications unspoken. "Then we move now," Torres decided. "Doctor, how quickly can you adapt our quantum network to detect these signature variations?" "Hours," Maya replied. "But they'll know we're looking for them." Good. Torres smiled grimly. Let them know. Let them feel the net closing in. Sometimes the fear of being watched is more effective than any weapon. The Phantom maintained its position near the captured vessel, while Project Silverlight's sensors began their recalibration. Throughout known space, humanity's hidden network of quantum buoys shifted their frequencies, creating an ever-tightening web of detection around suspected ascendancy holdings. The Shadow War was entering a new phase. The Ascendancy had tried to steal humanity's greatest technological advantage, only to discover that understanding the principles of quantum displacement was not the same as mastering them. Now they faced opponents who had spent generations perfecting the art of hiding in plain sight. As Maya watched the sensor network adapt, she couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Ascendancy had sought to take advanced technology from those they considered inferior, only to be undone by their own arrogance. They had never considered that humanity's apparent technological simplicity might itself be the greatest deception of all. The holographic map in the Eternal Dawn's command center showed thousands of quantum distortions, each representing an Ascendancy vessel trying to hide using stolen technology. Supreme Admiral Vexterra's carapace had darkened with stress as they studied the tactical display alongside Captain Sarah Chen. How did we miss this? Vexterra's secondary breathing vents fluttered in agitation. An entire fleet, built from stolen technology, operating within our own territory. Because they showed you what you expected to see, Shen replied, manipulating the display to highlight specific patterns, just like we did. The difference is, we perfected our deception. They're getting sloppy. The evidence was undeniable. The Ascendancy had been gathering forces for years, using raids and pirate attacks as cover to test stolen technology. Now, with their attempts to replicate human quantum displacement exposed, they had accelerated their timeline. Aboard the ESS Chimera, Dr. Maya Patel worked directly with the ship's quantum field generators, making real-time adjustments as they tracked Ascendancy movements. Their fields are becoming more unstable, she reported through the secure channel. They're pushing the technology too hard, too fast. Because they know we're coming, Chen responded. The question is, what are they planning that's worth the risk of tearing their own ships apart? The answer came from an unexpected source. The Nexari, having witnessed humanity's effective response to the Ascendancy threat, decided to share more of their intelligence. The data painted a chilling picture. It's not just about stealing technology, Maya explained as new information flowed through the quantum network. They're true believers. They think advanced species have a responsibility to force the evolution of lesser races. They're planning to unleash quantum field weapons across multiple systems, trying to trigger artificial technological leaps. That's insane. Vexterra's primary eyes widened. Uncontrolled quantum field exposure would destroy those civilizations, not advance them. Exactly, Chen confirmed. They're not trying to help anyone evolve. They're planning to eliminate what they see as competition, clearing the way for their own dominance. The tactical display updated again, showing concentrated Ascendancy fleet movements towards several developing worlds. Their unstable quantum fields left traces that humanity's sensors could now detect, thanks to Maya's adjustments to the monitoring network. We have their positions, Chen reported, but a direct confrontation would result in massive casualties on both sides. Their quantum fields are too unstable to risk conventional combat. Vexterra's crystalline form shifted in what humans had learned was their species' equivalent of a nod. Then we must be unconventional. Your people seem to excel at that, Captain. Chen allowed herself a small smile. We have a plan, but we'll need the Concordat's help to execute it. She brought up a new tactical overlay. We call it Operation Quantum Lock. The plan was audacious. Human ships would use their perfected quantum displacement technology to create a series of overlapping fields, essentially trapping the Ascendancy fleet in bubbles of stabilized space-time. The Concordat's forces would then move in to secure the disabled vessels before their unstable fields could cause catastrophic damage. It's never been attempted on this scale, Maya cautioned through the quantum link. We'll be pushing our own technology to its limits. Better us than them, Chen replied. At least we know what we're doing. As the combined human and Concordat forces moved into position, hidden by humanity's quantum fields, the scope of the Ascendancy's fleet became clear. Hundreds of ships, each one a dangerous combination of stolen technologies, gathered for what they believed would be their moment of triumph. They still think they have the element of surprise, Chen observed. They don't realize their own quantum fields have been broadcasting their positions for weeks. A lesson in humility awaits them, Vexterra commented. Perhaps the same one we learned when we first encountered your species. The trap was set. Throughout the sector, human vessels maintained their quantum veils while positioning themselves for the coordinated strike. The Concordat ships, guided by human sensors, moved into supporting positions. Everyone waited for the signal that would begin Operation Quantum Lock. Aboard the Chimera, Maya made the final adjustments to their quantum field generators. Field harmonics synchronized across all human vessels. She reported, "We're ready." Chen looked at the tactical display one last time, watching the Ascendancy fleet move exactly where they wanted them. Years of deception and hidden preparation had led to this moment. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and they didn't even know it yet. "All ships, this is Captain Chen." She broadcast across the secure quantum network. "Execute Operation Quantum Lock on my mark. Let's show them what real quantum mastery looks like." Time seemed to freeze across the battlefield as Operation Quantum Lock began. The ES Chimera led the charge, its quantum field expanding like a wave of invisible energy. Captain Chen watched as hundreds of human ships simultaneously dropped their veils, revealing their true forms for the first time. "Execute primary sequence," Chen commanded. "Lock them down." The Ascendancy fleet barely had time to register surprise before the trap was sprung. Overlapping quantum fields snapped into place, creating bubbles of controlled spacetime around their ships. Their stolen and imperfect quantum technology, already unstable, began to fail against the precisely calibrated human fields. Multiple quantum field collapses detected, Maya reported from her station. Their systems are trying to compensate, but they can't match our field harmonics. Aboard the Ascendancy command ship, Admiral Voss watched in horror as his fleet's quantum camouflage systems failed one by one. The humans hadn't just mastered quantum displacement. They had weaponized it in ways his scientists had never imagined possible. "Break formation," he ordered. "Disperse and—" His commands came too late. The human vessels moved with impossible precision, their quantum fields working in perfect synchronization. Where the Ascendancy had struggled to maintain basic quantum displacement, the humans were rewriting the laws of physics themselves. "Fascinating," Supreme Admiral Vexterra observed from the Eternal Dawn. "Your ships aren't just hiding. They're manipulating probability itself. A lesson learned from Earth's oceans," Chen explained as she coordinated the operation. "Some creatures don't just camouflage themselves, they change how predators perceive reality." We simply scaled up the concept. The Concordat fleet moved in behind the human ships, their weapons trained on the now visible Ascendancy vessels. But conventional weapons proved unnecessary. The combined effect of hundreds of human quantum fields had completely neutralized the enemy fleet's capabilities. "All Ascendancy vessels contained," Maya confirmed. "Their quantum generators are offline. We're detecting multiple surrender signals." But victory came with a price. The strain of maintaining such precise quantum fields across such a large area was pushing even humanity's advanced technology to its limits. Chen could see the stress readings climbing across her fleet. "We need to end this quickly," she announced. "Prepare for final phase." The human ships began a carefully choreographed sequence, their quantum fields pulsing in unison. The space around the Ascendancy fleet shifted, probability waves collapsing into a single, stable reality. When it was done, their stolen quantum technology had been completely neutralized, rendered useless by the very forces they had tried to control. Admiral Voss's voice crackled across the command channel. "How? How did you perfect this technology while hiding its very existence? We didn't perfect it, Chen replied. We respected it. You tried to force quantum mechanics to obey your will. We learned to work with it, to understand it. The universe doesn't reveal its secrets to those who try to steal them. The aftermath of the battle revealed the full scope of the Ascendancy's plans. Their hidden shipyards, weapons facilities, and research centers were exposed by humanity's quantum sensor network. The Concordat moved swiftly to secure these installations, while human ships maintained their quantum locks on the captured fleet. In Project Silverlight, Maya studied the data streaming in from the battlefield. Their quantum field research was fundamentally flawed, she reported. If we hadn't stopped them, their weapons would have torn reality apart across dozens of systems. Supreme Admiral Vextara, watching the cleanup operation, turned to Chen. The Concordat owes humanity a debt we can never repay. You could have used this technology to dominate the galaxy. Instead, you waited, watched, and acted only when necessary. That's the real lesson here, Chen responded. True power isn't about domination, it's about responsibility. We developed quantum displacement technology not to rule the galaxy, but to protect it. Sometimes the best way to maintain peace is to make others think you're less capable than you are. As the combined fleets secured the last of the Ascendancy assets, a new era of galactic politics began to take shape. The myth of humanity's technological inferiority was shattered, replaced by a growing understanding of their true nature. They were not the primitive species many had assumed, but patient guardians who had turned deception itself into an art form. The quantum sensor network remained active, a silent web of protection spanning known space. Human ships continued their patrols, some visible, others hidden behind their quantum veils. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Appearances could be deceiving, and sometimes the most powerful forces were the ones you couldn't see. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon hadn't been their mastery of quantum physics or their advanced technology. It had been their patience, their willingness to appear weak while building strength, and their understanding that true power lies not in what you show, but in what you choose to hide.